The greatest wrestling match ever is in the books, and you know what, folks? It wasn't that horrible. I cannot believe what I just saw. Not too shabby, y'all. Not too shabby. Never assume anything in this world, I'll tell you that much. We're going to get into it here. Backlash 2020 is in the books, and I'll tell you what, that main event saved the show because it was pretty boring. Much of what we saw here I feel like could have been achieved on Monday Night Raw. We saw some crazy stuff. But overall, on paper, this pay-per-view wasn't looking that great. And it wasn't that great up until the end, even though there were a few interesting points here and there. Overall, pretty weak. Pretty weak show overall. But man, Edge and Randy Orton went a solid 45, maybe even 50 minutes in an extremely different looking, edited, and differently produced type of show. And it was getting mixed reviews at first, but wound up closing really strong, and most people really dug it. So we're going to get into it here. Can I be seen? Yeah, all right. Well, I can be seen and heard. A good amount of you that were already in here waiting for me. I thought the pay-per-view was going to be over extremely early. I'd scheduled this for 7 p.m. local time, but I thought the pay-per-view would maybe only go 2.5 hours, but went a solid 3, a little bit over 3, even with the ending. And We saw a lot of stuff. The Ninja Bikers were something else. That Street Profits and Viking Raiders match, I have no idea what we were even looking at there. That wasn't advertised. You know, we didn't know about that until like today, but it seemed like something that would have taken a while to put together and produce. So why weren't they announcing this previously on TV and putting this on the main card? That wasn't the type of match you could have just thrown together last minute, because it was, cinematic, and it was obviously shot way ahead of time. So I was surprised we actually got that announcement only today. Really weird, but we saw some interesting stuff, and we had some disappointments as well. We had a couple of matches that were just straight up boring. Asuka and Nia Jax, went to a double count out, which sucked, and nothing else too crazy happened. But that Edge and Randy Orton match was something else, man. And it was kind of fun to be on social media and be on Twitter to kind of watch everybody, just because it's the first time we've seen it. We've never seen anything like this before. We didn't know what to expect and what kind of production techniques they were going to even use. Tom Phillips even warned us ahead of time, hey, you're about to see some shit, buckle up. And so, to watch everybody kind of react as we were learning what they were going to do. And the big thing was the crowd noise, the piped in crowd noise, which seemed to be getting mixed reviews. Most people were saying they didn't like it at first, but then near the end, it was kind of working. So I think we were all kind of, our thoughts and our opinions on this were evolving as the match was going on, which was kind of interesting. Now, in terms of the crowd noise, and we'll get into all the little techniques they used here, but in terms of the crowd noise, that's not something I don't think I would ever want for a live match. But for something like this, for them trying it in a match that was pre-taped, they had, over a week to edit and produce, I can understand them trying that there. I wouldn't like to see them try to achieve that, in a live format, having to worry about when to hit cheers and boos. That would be a mess, and they would make that look horrible. But for something like this, I was all right with them giving it a shot, and I didn't want to judge it too quick, just see how the whole match went. And, my grade is pretty solid. I'm going to give this thing a B+ to an A. This was a million times better than I thought. Now, obviously, they didn't come within 100 light years of being the greatest wrestling match ever, but they sure as hell didn't shit the bed either. They really put together a great match here. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I cannot believe I'm saying that. I thought this was going to be a chore. I thought Backlash was going to be a chore to watch, and it was for the most part, but that last hour saved the show. The greatest wrestling match ever saved this pay-per-view. Unreal. Anyway, I'm going to say hi to the chat here, answer a few super chats, chit-chat with you guys a little bit, and then we'll go into the results here, match by match, and we'll talk in depth about the main event. And I'm sure I'll be reading your thoughts on that as well. From what I can gather on social media, most people liked it. Some people thought the crowd noise was stupid, and you can have that opinion. It's totally fine. That's not going to be for everybody. I definitely think it would be stupid in a live format, but this, I'm willing to maybe see one more match and then maybe say, okay, is that something we want to see? But in an edited format, in a match like this, you got to at least try it. Non-alcoholic beverage tonight, delicious Coca-Cola in a can. No beer for me this evening. I don't have any in the house, actually, and didn't feel like running out. So it's going to be an alcohol-free stream this evening, hanging out with you guys. Let me cruise up here and start busting out the super-duper chats. And we'll start getting into the card here. Diego Perez, I think you're first. Thank you, brother, for the $10. Instant classic. I agree. It really was. I put on Twitter about this match, and it reminded me of a situation when I was young, and I was first getting into restaurants and kind of cutting my teeth and getting into management a little bit, and you have to kind of make decisions, and you have responsibilities and stuff. And I remember just getting viciously chewed out by my boss. Some of the meanest shit that I've ever heard come out of another person's mouth, for a mistake that I made that was pretty minor. But the reason I made it was because I assumed something. I just assumed that this was going to happen, and the opposite thing happened, and I was wrong, and it got some stuff fucked up, and I got in big trouble. And it's still one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned. He screamed at me, never assume anything. And it just kind of reminded me of that tonight, because we all assumed that this match with this ridiculous tagline, and when you combine it with what we saw at WrestleMania and that match not really getting great reviews just because it went so long, they proved here that they can have a long match and it being exciting at the same time. There's no such thing as too long as it's, produced right, I guess. So we all assumed that this match was not going to, number one, live up to the hype. It was probably not going to be very good, and it was going to be a joke when you compare it to the tagline attached to it. And guess what? We assumed wrong. And it wasn't the greatest wrestling match ever. I don't even know if it really qualifies with some of the stuff they did here. but for them to come away with that, for those two guys, and I guess you got to give the the production crew a little bit of credit too, but Randy Orton and Edge were the ones out there doing the work. For them to not make that tagline a joke is a feat among itself. So they did a great job. Hats off to both guys. And there was a story that broke today as well, which we'll get into, about Edge. Apparently he was injured. This is the rumor. No confirmation from Edge or his doctor or anything like that. As a matter of fact, the last time I think Edge tweeted was about a week ago. Or no, maybe it was yesterday. Wasn't long ago. It was, shit, now I forgot. I want to say it was a few days ago. He has not said anything basically on social media regarding this, so we haven't had any confirmation from him. There was talk that it was a torn triceps, which will keep him out for months, but there's also the possibility that this was a work, because the finish tonight of Randy Orton and Edge was a punt. And a lot of times when guys get punted, we don't see them for a while. So maybe this is, Edge also maybe just going to go away for a few months until we can get some crowd back in, to the arenas. Also reported that this match was originally scheduled for SummerSlam, but they went ahead and did it now, since, they are lacking a little bit of star power on the show. So they kind of hot-shotted this to get it done and rushed it, and now maybe Edge goes away and he doesn't return until we get some sort of normalcy coming back into the wrestling business in terms of, going to shows and having fans in the audience and things like that. So we'll see. I think the jury is still out on whether or not that's legit or work. I'm really hoping it's a work, because if that's legit, that sucks for Edge to come back and get injured and now gonna maybe have to have surgery and do a whole rehab and recovery when he's only had a couple of matches back in the ring. It's just the worst timing, but at least he wouldn't be on TV during a time when we're still in transition here and we don't know what the future holds. If he is injured, when he comes back, maybe around the Royal Rumble time again, we'll have, thousands of people back in the arena. We just don't know. But either way, best of luck to Edge, because, he fucking crushed it, man. But yeah, let's shut up about that. Go to the next super chat. Antoine, good to see you, man. Thank you for the $5. You were tweeting me a little bit earlier tonight as well. We as wrestling fans need to do better. Twitter wanted to crap on that match so bad, but they focus on everything but the match itself. Do better. Yeah, I mean, people were going to, they get an idea in their head and it's just going to suck no matter what. But even if you had that idea, there's no way any sort of logical mind could watch this match and really say, oh, it was the dumbest thing ever. That person needs to be checked into a facility if they exist. I think it was a great example of not wanting to be so quick to be cynical. I just said that with the assuming stuff. I think wrestling fans, are some of the more cynical in the world. And, sometimes we at least need to give things a shot, because one thing I noticed, 5 minutes into the match, people were like, oh, the crowd noise is stupid. I'm like, well, just give it time. Your opinion might evolve as the match goes and as the match builds up and heats up and takes all these different turns and directions. And they told a lot of stories in this match, and it was really good. And by the time you got to the end of it, I felt that it was okay. Maybe I could have done without the "this is awesome" chants. I don't know if they should be piping in "this is awesome" chants or anything, but having that added crowd noise definitely helped, because if there's one thing I've hated more than anything else since the pandemic, it is dead stone cold silence during wrestling matches. It just flat out doesn't work. So anything to create more noise, I'm, kind of all right with. So I still don't know if I have a firm opinion on this yet. Based on this match, I was cool with the crowd noise. Maybe some other matches I won't be. I don't know. But I'm fine with them at least, giving it a shot. George Morris, good to see you, man. Thanks for the $2. Greg, how are you doing? I'm doing wonderfully. I was off tonight watching wrestling. Doesn't get much better than that. Chris Ludecki, thank you, dude, for $5. Good final match, but way too many big move kick-out sequences that killed suspense. Yeah, there was a lot at the end. I kind of didn't mind those because, I wrote them all down here. Rock bottom, pedigree, a couple of RKOs, a couple of spears, and finally it took a low blow and a punt, I think, to get the finish here. But there was a lot of that going on, but they wanted to take you on that roller coaster ride. Did it really have any more than maybe Shawn and Taker did? There's a couple of super kick outs and shit in that too, right? I think for the epicness that they were trying to make this match. But I see what you mean about killing the suspense, because there was a couple of those you knew, that they were going to kick out. It just didn't feel like that was going to be the finish. One time they almost got me. I think that first RKO actually might have convinced me for a second, because I picked Randy Orton to win. So when he hit that first one, I actually thought it might be over right there. Just catch him with a quick RKO out of nowhere, right? That's his catchphrase, and lands it on Edge and pins him, and that was it. But then when he kicked out, that's when they went into the sequence of just kicking out of everything under the sun. So, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I totally get it. Taylor Moyes, thank you, man, for the $2 as well. Deja vu question for me, Drew's next feud. Yeah, well, with Lashley now, we're going to talk about that. Lana kind of got in the middle of that, which I predicted. I think in the predictions, not only did I predict Drew to win, I'm like, Lana's going to come out there and fuck that up. And she did. So does he get one more Extreme Rules match with Lashley first before a SummerSlam, or what goes on there? I'm almost thinking, since Extreme Rules is kind of an in-between feud, or an in-between pay-per-view, and an Extreme Rules match might be more likely to be used to blow off a feud rather than start one, I think we get Lashley one more time at Extreme Rules. And then he gets someone for SummerSlam, someone new. That's my guess. Anyway, we'll find out maybe tomorrow night. George Morris, thank you. $2 more. With Bruce taking over Raw, does the podcast end? I don't know. I can't believe it's still going, to be honest. He might have to end it. Conrad has done his job of making sure that there can be life without Bruce, because he has, 66 other podcasts going on right now at the same time, so he'll be fine. But it might just be too much for Bruce to take on. I wouldn't want to write 2 shows of TV and then have to do a weekly podcast and watch shows and make notes for that. I'd be stretched pretty damn thin. So I don't know. Don't know what the future holds. I'm way behind on Something to Wrestle. I haven't listened in months and months and months. So there's a lot of episodes I haven't heard in a while, but I don't know. I don't want it to end. It's a good podcast. Let's see who's next. Devlin, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the $5. If the main event didn't happen, I would have given the show a solid D, but the main event brought it up to a C+. I would have definitely given it a D2. Main event saved it. Main event, C+ is probably the best we can really do. I mean, to me, this was a one-match card. I will not remember anything about this Backlash at all, except for this main event. So that alone, can't give the pay-per-view a B or an A, so I'm going to go with your grade. Sounds good to me. Victor Cologne, thank you for the $2. Hearing the Fink in the main event was amazing. That it was. That got me. That was so touching. I fucking love that. And they also had the old school Madison Square Garden drop-down microphone that, is just tattooed on my brain. So many of my childhood memories sitting down, watching wrestling in the dark, MSG wrestling with Howard Finkel and his frilly little tuxedos, and announcing guys like Tito Santana and Greg Valentine and Backlund and all that shit. My God, so cool to see that. And since Howard Finkel introduced many Randy Orton and Edge matches, they used his voice to introduce both guys with the image of the microphone there. That was fantastic. And shout out to Little Nate, Charles Robinson, who was rocking the old school blue shirt, bow tie, black bow tie referee outfit from back in the day. So I liked all those little touches that they did. They really made it like an old school wrestling match. It was almost, I look at the Randy Orton and Edge match as almost like a love letter to professional wrestling, because it really was almost a tribute. They really were just tributing professional wrestling in general in the match, not something that I thought they would be able to, number one, pull off. I didn't even think that was what the plan was to do. And it just came off really well, I thought. And it was a nice, like I said, nice love letter. And that's what wrestling's about. I think they pulled this off well here. I think they redeemed themselves from their less than spectacular WrestleMania match that many fans felt like it drug out. This match, I think, was longer than the WrestleMania match, but we didn't get that feeling here that the match was dragging, because it was in the ring. You had near falls, you had crowd noise, you had stuff going on where if you're in the back, just in the, in the garage, in the parking area, smashing each other with chairs, it's just dead silence. And that's what gave it the feeling of dragging on too long, is it was just slow and methodical, dead and quiet. Where here, this had energy, and plus they could edit it in such a way to where, I couldn't tell if they were editing that much of the match itself, but you would think, some of the rests in between might have, 10 seconds, 15 seconds might be shaved off here or there, in between, double clothesline where they're both down on the mat, try to get them up a little bit quicker. And the match just kind of had a nice flow the whole time. You never felt like it was dragging on, like, my God, when is this going to end? It was almost like, my God, when is this going to end kind of thing. It was more exciting than the WrestleMania match. And to me, felt like total redemption. Total redemption. But thank you for that, Victor. Who's next? MAB, thank you for the $10 as well. Hey, Greg, hope you're doing good. My new shift is lining up with your streams. Nice. Finally able to catch you live. The match exceeded expectations by far. Maybe not the greatest, though. Exactly what I said. I mean, there's no way they were going to... There's no way. They can never live up to that moniker, but man, for them not to completely blow it here, no wonder. I was wondering that too, because Randy Orton, I felt like, was pretty confident, because they taped that match, I believe, before In Your House, right? And then Randy Orton kind of came out with that tweet saying, leg slaps or whatever, giving props to NXT, but maybe poking a little bit of fun at him at the same time. So he must have known that the match with Edge was pretty good if he had the confidence to tweet that, because if the match would have sucked here, I think Tommaso and maybe some other people might have something to say to him on Twitter right now. So he must have known that that was going to be money, and maybe that's why he said what he said, but I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. Thank you very much, dude, for the very generous super chat. I think I just got a couple of more, and then we'll start diving into the actual results here. FRGN, thank you very much for the super chat as well. Hey, Greg, foreign from Kick to the Gut. Hey, what's up, man? Wrestling podcast. Looking forward to you joining us this week. Would appreciate giving us a shout out here, of course. This is Kick to the Gut podcast. They are out of Singapore. They had contacted me a while back to do an interview, and it's usually something that I don't do, but I liked the way their podcast looked. I checked them out, and I was curious if any of you guys listen to them or know anything about them, but I'm going to be on an upcoming episode of their show. We're going to do an interview next week, and I'll keep you guys updated with the details on that. So I'm really looking forward to their stuff, and go give them a look if you have not yet. And thank you, man, for stopping in and saying hello. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's probably not convenient. But good to see you, man. And yeah, we'll be talking this week. I think I got another one. Lysander Smith, good to see you again, man. Appreciate the $5 as well. Old school question. Name an underrated tag team for me, Simpson Brothers, and Dallas. Underrated tag team. I gotta think about that. You want old school? Old school underrated? Man, I gotta think about that. Remind me at the end of the stream here. We just gotta start getting these Backlash results here. I don't want to say anybody, and there's a lot of underrated teams I felt like in WWE, but I'm trying to think of NWA. I'll come up with something, Lysander. All right, let's get into the results. Let's start knocking out these match-by-match results here so we can start talking more about Edge and Orton. The show opened up with a kickoff match. During my predictions yesterday, I had no kickoff match listed, but I knew that they would add one. And they did, sort of. They didn't add one, they bumped one. They bumped Apollo and Andrade to the kickoff. A lot of talk now because Paul Heyman is out. Some of us are worried that Apollo's push maybe, might be stalled or become less important than Heyman had intended it to be. And now they've even bumped this match for the kickoff. And then they've added the Viking Raiders and Street Profits, which I didn't even know about ahead of time. Very strange here. Don't know why they make these decisions that they do. But Apollo and Andrade now had the title match on the kickoff instead. Apollo debuted a new theme. I kind of liked it. Thought that was pretty good. Kevin Owens was out there as well. He sat in on commentary. He was out there wearing a nice little red tie. That cracked me up. Angel Garza tries to get involved in this match. Kevin Owens takes care of him, hits him with a stunner on the outside of the ring, allowing Apollo Crews to hit his finisher on Andrade in the ring and get the pin and retain the title. So wasn't expecting a title change here anyway. And then when they bumped it to the kickoff, I really wasn't expecting a title change, and got that match right. Apollo retains, and hopefully keep our fingers crossed for him that Paul Heyman being gone will not negatively affect him in any way, because we all like Apollo, and I think there's potential there, and give him a shot, man. Come on. So that was the one match they had on the kickoff. The main card opened up with the tag team triple threat title match. That was Sasha and Bayley retaining and defending the titles against Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss and the Iconics. No big surprise here. I did not see Sasha and Bayley dropping these belts quite yet. They're slow burning this build and this breakup until SummerSlam or something like that. And considering they just won the titles, I don't think they're going to pass them right back to the champs, to the former champs, and certainly not going to give them to the Iconics for a second time. I think the title belts are going to play a role into their breakup whenever that does happen, and it sure as hell wasn't going to be here. Sasha Banks, I don't know if it was a victory roll or a roll-up type of thing on Alexa Bliss. She capitalized on that when there was a lot of confusion, a lot of ladies in the ring, and she was able to score a quick pin on Little Miss Bliss, and Sasha and Bayley retain there. They did a pre-match promo too before they went out where they were, putting each other over, and then Sasha made her entrance first and Bayley kept flapping her gums, and they seemed to really be, overcompensating their friendship and, constantly reminding everybody about how tight they are. And, that's going to eventually lead to some sort of big blow up here whenever. I'm guessing maybe like 2024, 2025, we'll finally get the Sasha and Bayley breakup. And by then, Bayley's Aunt Karen hair should be a little bit past shoulder length. Next up was Jeff Hardy and Sheamus. Kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't predict this one right, because I should have seen this one coming. We saw the urine shit on Friday night where Jeff Hardy splashed the piss in Sheamus's face. They recapped all of that, even did a nice slow-mo shot of the apple juice going squarely in the pale mug of Sheamus. And this match was pretty brutal. Sheamus was putting a hurting on Jeff Hardy in this. And we talked last night yesterday in the predictions that maybe Jeff Hardy could come out there and pretend to be drunk and try to trick Sheamus and all these different things that he could do to maybe get some revenge. But they're also doing the big redemption storyline with Jeff and the struggles and him trying to battle back after, years of legal trouble and drug problems and things like that. And finally, trying to have one more good run before he retires. And that's all nice and good. But I like them having a little bit of more reality into a storyline than this, instead of just the feel-good story every time, because sometimes life doesn't work out. And the way they've been documenting Jeff Hardy's struggles, it seems to us that they're lining him up for some big sort of push, maybe even at a world title or something like that. So most of us, there's that word again, assumed that this was just going to be a win for the returning Jeff Hardy. Sheamus has been an asshole. He framed him for a hit and run. How in the world is the heel going to win here? But, sometimes life doesn't do what's fair. And Jeff Hardy took a pounding. They had a really good match, better match than I thought they were going to have, because I wasn't interested in this one at all. And Sheamus beat him clean with a brogue kick right in the middle, 1, 2, 3. It was set up on the outside. Jeff Hardy went to go do the running on the barricade thing, and he jumped off, and Sheamus caught him with a brogue kick there, rolled him in the ring, hit him with a second one, and pinned him. And in a way, I kind of like that, because that can add to Jeff Hardy's struggles, adds doubt, and can probably play into the storyline more and will give you a little bit more substance than just the old predictable, redemption story for the babyface winning and shit like that. So I kind of like that he took the loss here, and I'm also disappointed in myself that I didn't predict that, because I should have. I feel like I'm smarter than that. Anyway, Sheamus got the win there, and that was that. Next up was Asuka and Nia Jax. Now, Asuka defending the Raw Women's title. I was extremely disappointed in this one, because I am not on the Nia Jax hating bandwagon to the extent of everybody else, just like I'm not on the Corbin one either, but that doesn't mean I like them. I don't like Nia Jax, and I don't like Baron Corbin. I just don't take it to the, psychotic degree that some do. So the last thing in the world I wanted to see here, just like anybody else, was to see Nia Jax win the title, and I thought for sure that Asuka, who they should be building up to be pretty strong here, should just beat Nia Jax. There's no reason to really keep Nia Jax strong. There's no shame in losing to Asuka. Asuka's put her down clean before. She put her down clean in NXT in a title match, did she not? So what was wrong with her just slapping the shit out of Nia Jax, putting her down, winning, and it's a big dominant win for your champion? Don't know why they went in this direction here. In a really funny spot during the match, too, because... And actually, I'll say this. I will say one positive thing here. This was not a horrible match. For Nia Jax standards, this was not a bad match. I've seen worse, and I've definitely seen worse from Nia Jax, but there was one cringy-ass spot here where Nia Jax actually laughed literally out loud. She attempted and hit a jackhammer on Asuka. If there's anybody that has no business, I mean, Goldberg can't throw this thing safely. So I just laughed. I'm like, please tell me Goldberg did not teach you that, because he doesn't know how to do it. So Nia Jax picks up Asuka, hits her with a really shitty-looking jackhammer, rolls over on Asuka's legs, but didn't appear to hurt her at all, so we dodged a bullet there. The two ladies find themselves on the outside of the ring. They're fighting and brawling. A referee's counting them. They get up to 7, and I'm like, surely they're going to make it back in the ring. And then I'm like, oh, shit, one of them's going to make it back in the ring. It's going to be a count out. And then neither one of them made it in the ring. And it's a double DQ. I'm like, what the fuck? So that I didn't like. They got a chance here. They can redeem this. I won't care about this finish at all if tomorrow night they do a rematch and Asuka beats her. If they do that, then no big deal. Maybe they need some filler for tomorrow night on Raw. So they did the DQ here so they can put another big match on TV tomorrow. Maybe that's what they're doing. I'm really nervous about Charlotte as well. By the way, the person in WWE that's so overexposed was absent and invisible from this pay-per-view tonight. But I don't think that'll be the case tomorrow. And if there's a future match between Asuka and Nia Jax, I worry that Charlotte can stick her big snout in there and get involved in this as well. And then we're talking three ways, and I still don't know where the hell Shayna Baszler is. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I think Asuka should have been able to get past Nia Jax and just beat her clean, because Asuka is a strong champion. So she should be, I mean, if Drew is beating Lashley, why can't Asuka beat Nia Jax? You know what I mean? So they better fix this tomorrow and do another match and have Asuka beat this woman, please. After that, we had Miz and Morrison taking on Braun Strowman for the Universal title, handicap match here. And another glorious highlight of Backlash, I mean, absolutely glorious, was the Miz and Morrison music video. I don't know about y'all, but I was rock hard. I mean, my God, what a great fucking video. Cracked up, laughed my ass off, almost had a Van Halen Right Now type of feel to it with the piano keys or whatever. And just go watch it. It can't even do it justice talking about it. I'm sure it's up on YouTube by now. I really enjoy that. The two of those guys are funny. They've got good chemistry. Sometimes they can be a little bit cheesy. I know some people don't like Miz and Morrison and find them like unfunny. I felt like the second coming of DX was like that. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I know a lot of people did like that 06, 07 DX. Not me. Was not a fan. Not even close. Miz and Morrison have not failed in that way to me as bad as DX did now that they've gotten back together, 8 or 9 years later. So they're still pretty funny. They do funny things, and the music video was hysterical. And then they did a pre-match promo backstage where it was revealed, because I think they were under the assumption that if they won the title together. They're going to be co-champions. Well, they were informed that's not the way it works. Whoever gets the pin on Strowman will be the champion. So they immediately drove that wedge there. So all this training that they've done, these montages and all this work and this prep that have gone in. I mean, they even made a music video just for the Braun Strowman match, which made part of me think that maybe they could take the belts for a month here, or take the belt for a month here to get more use out of that music video or something before dropping it back to him at Extreme Rules. I actually thought that was a possibility, but once it was announced that only one of them can be champion, you knew that was going to fuck them up somehow. And the match was exactly what we thought it would be. A lot of double teaming, but Braun Strowman stayed mostly dominant. How long has he been doing the Strowman Express? I didn't even really watch SmackDown on Friday, so it looks like he's got kind of a new entrance, kind of Tron looking video there, and he comes out screaming and yelling. In the end, he wins, hits John Morrison with the power slam, 1, 2, 3, retains the title, and we didn't see The Fiend. I thought maybe he would make an appearance, Bray Wyatt or The Fiend would, at the end of this, or at least we'd see some flickering lights or something like that. I don't know. And now with Braun Strowman, I feel like he's kind of in the same position as Drew McIntyre. I feel like Extreme Rules is in the way of SummerSlam. So whoever Drew and Strowman defend the titles against at SummerSlam, I don't think should be determined until like after Extreme Rules, assuming they both defend their titles at Extreme Rules. Maybe one of them doesn't. I don't know. So I'm kind of curious where that leaves Strowman as well, or if they try to stretch one more match out of this. I don't think they can. This was pretty definitive. He won hard in this, so I don't see Miz and Morrison necessarily getting another shot. But what does Strowman do at Extreme Rules? Back to The Fiend again? And then a SummerSlam blow-off? Don't know. You guys let me know. Before we get into the Lashley and Drew McIntyre match, I'll cruise back over here to the chat and say hi to some more people. Pretty decent audience. Can you guys do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button for me? I'd very much appreciate it. Dial for Jay, you were into the express train entrance? Yeah, I didn't hate it. Oh, yeah, Bray had the baby. That's right, so he's not going to be around for right now. Man, they're lacking some guys, man. And I'm curious about Roman, too. Ian Dunn. Don't know if he's talked to WWE or what they've agreed upon. Like, I'm just not going to come back until it's safe kind of thing. Or I'll come back when fans are allowed back. Or what? I don't know. Man, there's trouble in WWE land. It's a mess right now. Still think we're getting Roman and The Fiend at 2020 or at SummerSlam? Is that going to be a title match? They could have The Fiend take the title off of Strowman at Extreme Rules and then face Roman at SummerSlam, but getting Roman back that quick and that big of a match for SummerSlam, I don't know. Still curious about what SummerSlam's going to be, where it's going to be, assuming, I mean, it's probably going to be at the Performance Center. It would be really cool if at least there could be some people there and it could have at least the vibe of an NXT show. I think that would at least help a little bit with it. We'll find out. All right, what do we have next in the results here? What's next on my list? Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre was up next. This one was extremely predictable. They tried to throw a swerve early on. When Drew McIntyre was making his entrance, he was attacked by Bobby Lashley, and Lashley put him in the full Nelson, putting him down, and then they had to do the thing that they always do, where the referee has to ask him if he wants to compete. Do you want to continue, Drew? Are you okay? Can you compete? Of course, he's a badass. He's going to say yes. So now he's kind of fighting an uphill battle already. Lashley's got MVP out there with him. Back and forth match, typical match you'd see between these two, something we could have easily seen on Raw. And as predicted, Lana, who had already done an interview backstage, and they've been teasing that shit on Raw where Lashley doesn't want her out there, and you knew that in order to not completely bury Lashley, you know, maybe she should get involved to help, you know, not help Drew win, but cause enough distraction to screw over Lashley to where he can be pissed and focus his anger on her or give him a reason for a rematch. So when she ran down there, she actually got on the apron during the match and she was knocked off into MVP. They fall to the ground and Lashley's all preoccupied with that. He eats Claymore and Lashley goes down and Drew McIntyre retains the title. Not a big surprise there. I didn't think that putting the belt on Lashley here would have been so odd. I'm not against Lashley being a world champion, that's for sure. I mean, I thought he should have been there years and years and years ago. So why they waited till just now to give him another opportunity? It was, 13 years in between title shots for him, which is just criminal when you think about it. But as much as I'm not anti-Lashley, I don't think I was pro-Drew dropping the belt here. You know, got to keep rolling with Drew. You have to. You main evented WrestleMania. Come on. Next up, I don't know what was happening. I thought I was having a seizure. The Viking Raiders and the Street Profits are supposed to have a match, but they never did. They met up behind the scenes, and then it just gets out of control. It becomes it looked like it was like an action movie or a TV show, a little part in Lethal Weapon and Karate Kid and sound effects, and it was kind of entertaining. I was walking around the house doing some things while it was happening because I thought it was going to be a regular match in the ring, and I didn't really care about it. So I was not going to pay much attention to it. But then I'm like, what in the world am I watching? So I sat down and just tried to take it all in. And you had everything under the sun. You had bowling balls and shields, and they were in the dumpster. You had Ninja Motorcycle Gang with Akira Tozawa riding in. You couldn't tell if the two teams were fighting each other or they were teamed up with each other. Turkey legs, solo cups, you name it, they were doing it. So many funny musical effects and shit like that. I had no idea what was going on. I just sat there with that jaw on the floor like, huh? Don't even know. I don't even know what I saw. In the end, they all kind of teamed up together and all found themselves in the dumpsters, and that's when referee Jessica comes up at the end and is like, dude, do you have a match or whatever? And thinks that Ivar is cute and that Eric is not. And I don't know, slightly after that, I just went outside my front door and walked out into the street for a while and sat there. I don't know what to make of that. That was absolutely bonkers. But I didn't really hate it. I was just like, huh? You know, what the hell did they smoke? Did they all just get together and just do a ton of drugs and just write down every idea that came into their head? Because that's kind of what it looked like. What'd y'all think of the Viking Raiders Street Profits? Did you like it? Did you think it was stupid? You know, silly? I don't think it was. I mean, when you compare it to, what was it called? The Stadium Stampede. I think Stadium Stampede was still better based on what I saw here. But that was very odd. Oh, that was very strange. Let me cruise up here, bust out a couple of Super chats from Marcus Metcalf. Thank you, man, for the $2. Sasha Bailey facing Tegan and Shotzi on NXT this week. That's right. That's going to be fun. I'm ready to see them back. I figured they'd be back in NXT this week real soon. They weren't going to waste too much time on that. Get them over there and give them a match or something. That's going to be cool to see them back in that environment. They'll beat them, of course. That'll be good stuff. Good rub for both Tegan and Shotzi, too, to be in the ring with them. Marcus, another one from you. Thank you for $2 more, dude. Asuka hasn't won a singles match as new champ. That's right. It's been a month now since Money in the Bank. She should have. She should have won this one tonight. That was the most disappointing part of the show to me. She should have just straight up beat Nia Jax clean and pinned her. Just like Sheamus did to Jeff Hardy, just like Drew McIntyre did to Bobby Lashley. They should have just won. She should have just won. I don't know what their problem is sometimes. Mango Salsa 90, appreciate that. Thanks for the $5. What up, GoodMicWork? Do you feel like WWE's booking has been on autopilot during this quarantine? Kind of. I feel like their booking is always on autopilot because we talk about the different scenarios that they just use and rinse and repeat on each show. They just change the order of them and change what show they're on. But how many times do we have to see one person come out and cut a promo, followed by another one, followed by another one, followed by another one? Next thing you know, you got 6 fucking microphones in the ring, and then whatever authority thing is in charge makes a match during the commercial break, and you come back and it's happening, and everything that they do is just so predictable. And it's like, I feel like they have these numbered. We're going to go with scenario 34B for this match between, Ricochet and whoever the hell. So it's extremely annoying, and that's why when we talked about the Heyman and Pritchard news yesterday, I said that that's not going to do any favors for the creativity of both shows because we already feel like it's a lot of redundant shit as it is. Now, when you're putting only one mind in charge instead of 2, how in the world is that going to get better? So if it was autopilot before, it's sure as hell going to be autopilot now. And I'm hoping, maybe this lull and this extremely dead period, because another thing I'll say about this quarantine time is I don't think any of us will ever, ever, ever look back on this time period as a pleasant time period. When you go back and relive matches or, relive storylines or relive pay-per-views from the past, maybe even as recent as a couple of years ago, nobody's going to go back and look at fucking 2020. Nobody's going to go back and watch this WrestleMania. Maybe you'll throw on the Boneyard match. Maybe you'll watch this Edge and Orton masterpiece from tonight. Maybe. But as far as like this time period goes, I don't even want to, I want to pretend 2020 never happened. I just wish on the calendar it went 2018, 2019, 2021. Just skip it all. I'm never going to look back on this time as anything pleasant at all. It's been horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I'm ready for it to get back to normal. And maybe when it does, since it's been so shitty, maybe WWE will almost have like a reinvigorated sense of motivation for creativity. Wow, we're back. The audience is back. Let's not take these fans for granted and let's make them happy to be back because, ticket sales weren't setting any records as it was prior to the pandemic. So you got to get past that initial cabin fever where everybody wants to be out, but that will wear off, so to where, everybody wants to go out to dinner right now and everybody just wants to do something. But once, you get that out of your system a little bit, you might start thinking a little bit more in terms of safety again. And if wrestling kind of sucks and you're watching Raw every week and it's a pile of shit, why are you going to spend money to risk your life to go to a show in a building full of thousands of people and, potentially get the coronavirus just to watch a wrestling show that sucks? So WWE needs to make it worth folks' while to go and do stuff. And maybe when everything gets back to normal, that'll help them. Maybe we'll, I definitely think it's going to make a world of difference. It's going to feel so different for us to finally see an audience again. And it's going to feel good whenever the hell it happens. Let's hope so. Thank you, Mab, for another $2. Appreciate it. I wasn't sure that was Shaq under the ninja mask. Oh, I was barely paying attention to the ninja stuff. I saw Tozawa, but I didn't know who else. Was there some giant dude under there? That would have been funny. I lost it. Who's next there? Victor Colon. I'm making sure I don't miss any of these. Hopefully I have not. The Raiders Profits segment was hilarious. It was weird. I was laughing my ass off at the reactions on Twitter because I think all of us were just like, did I inject a bunch of freaking magic mushrooms or something? Like, what's going on? Joey G, good to see you. Thank you, man, for the $5. The Orton Edge match was so good it made me forget about the pandemic for a short amount of time. A true old school classic, in my opinion. That it was. Orton got busted open. It was good stuff, man. I agree with you totally, Joey G. Good to see you too. Good to see you. All right, that catches up the supers. That just leaves us with the main event, which we did talk a lot about when we opened the podcast here, but we'll talk a little bit more about it and go in depth here. Edge versus Randy Orton, the greatest wrestling match ever, which we thought was so silly and such a ridiculous tagline. I thought it was a rib. I think Edge and Randy Orton thought it was a rib, but no, WWE actually really means this and thinks this, and there was just no way they could live up, right? It was going to suck, but I wasn't expecting them to go the direction. We knew we were going to see something different because we knew it was pre-taped. We knew it was going to be edited, chopped together, put together, and probably have a different feel than a regular match, but I was trying to envision in my head what we were going to see. We weren't going to see Tommaso and Gargano. We weren't going to see a fun house, but we weren't going to see what Edge and Orton did previously. It was probably going to be something to that effect, though. So we were all going into this blind, which was part of the fun. I just hate that tagline kind of ruined people's interest. In a lot of ways it did damage. In a lot of ways it made fans not interested in seeing the match, where if they wouldn't have said that at all, you probably would have had more people a little bit curious as to what they were going to do and what this match was going to look like, which is kind of ironic. But they opened it up, like I said, with the old Madison Square Garden microphone that would drop down, and they had Howard Finkel's voice piped in, announcing both competitors to the ring. Little Nate, Charles Robinson, was your referee for this thing, wearing the old school blue shirt, button-down shirt with the black tie. Love that look. Very old school look to it. They had some piped in crowd noise. That was one of the first things we noticed right away, along with a couple of different camera angles as well. As a matter of fact, when they locked up, there was an underneath shot of their faces, which they had to have shot that completely separately. Like after the match, they just had to do one lockup shot and splice that in because there was no camera under there, filming it. And I didn't, unless there's a little GoPro stuck in the ring, but I don't think so. And we saw the overhead cam a couple of times too, which had some really good shots and a couple really good shots of Edge's facial expressions, which I loved. So the different camera angles I thought were cool, and the way it was shot was cool, and the crowd noise was still under review. Wasn't sure at that point. They started wrestling. Like I said, the match felt like it flowed a little bit better, because maybe the rest spots were cut down a little bit. We had Randy Orton getting busted open really early. He took a headshot or a headbutt from Edge, fell off the apron, and he's gashed open hard right off the bat. That was pretty awesome. Saw a nice tribute to Eddie Guerrero in this match with Three Amigos that Edge was able to deliver on Randy Orton, which was awesome. I think Orton attempted it too, did he not? So that was really cool. A little tribute to Eddie Guerrero, who both guys have a ton of history with and worked with on back in the day quite often. So that was really cool. We saw lots of tributes to many finishers in wrestling. We saw a rock bottom by Edge, I believe. We saw a pedigree by Randy Orton, tributing his mentor Triple H. We saw a couple of spears, couple of RKOs, and lots of kickouts. And I mean lots and lots and lots of kickouts. And that's when it was getting really exciting. It was getting to the edge of your seat type of stuff. They were doing, I thought the crowd noise was working up until this point, but maybe I could have done without the "this is awesome" chants. I thought maybe that was a little bit much because, I don't know why. I just think maybe I wouldn't have done that, but I didn't really mind the crowd noise. You know what I mean? And when you think about what to put on Raw or something or SmackDown, I would like to see one of these matches be put on Fox. I think if that audience could see a match like this, it might not seem as boring as what we're currently seeing, with pandemic wrestling and stuff. So I like the way this all came together. In the end, I don't think the near falls got out of hand. I don't think the near falls were any more than we see in any other epic match like this, because we see lots of them. And after kick out of each guy's finisher, we finally see kind of a janky little finish there where Randy Orton catches Edge with a low blow. He seems surprised, like he didn't mean to do it, but at the same time, he's not going to let that go to waste, and he's going to take advantage of it. So Edge crumples with the low blow. Orton realizes that, immediately hits the corner and waits for Edge to get up, and then punts Edge right in the head. It looked great. Not sure if that finish they had to do multiple takes of. I don't know, but it was a pretty good looking punt. Edge took it, went down 1, 2, 3, and Randy Orton wins. And that's good. I'm actually glad that he did win. And I said, when I predicted him, I'm like, he's going to have to cheat. He's going to have to get a chair or something like that. And I thought it would be some sort of like an insult to the greatest wrestling match ever tagline, and quite ironic if they make such a big deal about this being a wrestling match and then Randy Orton uses a foreign object to win. He didn't quite use a foreign object, but he did use a low blow, and he punted Edge, which could be evidence, maybe or maybe not. We really don't know. I haven't seen the updated news on this. I'll have to check over with Fightful or one of the sites here in a bit. But I think with Edge getting punted, that could be evidence that maybe the injury that we read about is work, and he's just, you know, going to be off of TV for a while. But I don't know. It's a triceps injury, so him being kicked in the head, I don't know. And I don't think he had did he have the injury prior to the match? I think he sustained the injury in the match, because he wouldn't have been able to work like that injured, I don't think. So I don't know. Either way, regardless of what's going on with him, it feels like he'll be off of TV for a little while. And we speculated yesterday that maybe if Orton wins here, they do the blow-off at Extreme Rules, or maybe even the blow-off at SummerSlam. That's probably not the case now, because if Edge is injured, he's not going to be around, and if he's not injured, he's probably going to be selling the punt. Either way, we're edgeless, I believe, at least for the next couple of months. But overall, like I said, great match. Great match. If you would have told me this morning that I would be up here doing this review praising this thing, I'd have told you were crazy. But that's because I'm an idiot for assuming. And that match killed it, man. Bravo to both guys. True pros, man. Absolute pros. Let's cruise back over here to the chat. We'll talk a little bit. I do want to mention one more thing that I have not seen, and that is The Undertaker, Last Ride, Chapter 4. Didn't get a chance to watch it today, because for me, pay-per-views come on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was doing too much shit today, so I didn't have time to really sit down and dedicate an hour to that. So I'm going to watch that tonight, and tomorrow for the Raw review, we'll be talking about that. Let's do a super chat, though, that's rolling in from Mab again. Thank you, dude, for 10 more bucks. Appreciate it. When the lights went out for the intro and the music started, I thought Mr. Rogers' Bray was coming out, and my mind couldn't handle that amount of confusion. That would have been weird. I'm like, all right, what are they thinking here? So I'm really happy with this match. I can't believe it. Maybe this is one I'd go back and watch again. I might. And I don't rewatch modern stuff, but this was really good. I'd like to put, we'll do a poll at some point. We'll try to talk about these in general. Like, where would you put, I'll just ask you guys here, where would you put this and rank it with Ciampa and Gargano, with Boneyard, with Funhouse? What else? What else did we get that was weird? Maybe I guess we can include the Street Profits, Viking Raiders. You know, rank them, you know, best to worst. I think the worst is still Edge Orton from WrestleMania. But like I said, they redeemed the hell out of themselves here. So I'd like to know what you guys think, and like where you think this match, where the greatest wrestling match ever ranks with the other edited, pre-taped, cinematic-ish matches. Let me know. And also, smash that thumbs up, since there's 250 folks up in here right now. And Adrian, thank you very much, dude, as well, for the super chat. Good to see you in here again. Night and day between Mania and Backlash match. You said a handful there, or a mouthful there. You got that right. Yeah, and the Undertaker documentary, really sorry I couldn't watch that yet. I really miss, one thing I miss about the East Coast is I miss the time that shit starts, you know, like on fun, because I work late at night, I stay up late at night, so like during football season, I don't want to watch football at 10 a.m., you know, I need more time than that. So where in the East Coast, it would be, you know, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which would be plenty of time, and pay-per-views wouldn't start till 7 p.m. I gotta throw this at my cat, pardon me. Get down. Yeah, there you go. It worked. So pay-per-views come on here at 4 o'clock for me, so I just didn't have time to catch it yet. But it will give us something to talk about tomorrow after Raw, because I don't know what kind of Raw we're going to see tomorrow night. I put on Twitter that I wouldn't even care if they decided to fill some time by replaying this match on Raw. I certainly wouldn't complain, because what are we getting on Raw instead? 3 hours of shit? So if they want to saw off an hour and give us this instead with some commercials, this would take up an entire hour of the show, and it would be filler that I'd be perfectly willing to accept. Wouldn't even be mad at all. Wouldn't even complain. I'd be happy. I'd be praising WWE if they replayed this shit tomorrow night on Raw. It'd just be less torture for all of us. So yeah, we'll see. The Taker documentary, the one thing I'm most interested in, I read Sean Ross Sapp's review. He got an early look, I think, of both final chapters, or at least chapter 4. So I was kind of aware that we were going to hear about the StarCast booking and, you know, maybe the AEW stuff, or, you know, the falling out, so to speak, that Vince had, pulling Kurt Angle and The Undertaker from the StarCast stuff. That I really wanted to see, because there was talk that really put a strain on Vince's and Taker's relationship, at least for a temporary time period. And I remember when we heard that news, I didn't even think it was a big deal. I just thought the Taker is fucking Taker. He can do what he wants. As a matter of fact, I think I said that. I think I even defended it. I was like, WWE probably doesn't care. You know, Taker's Andre the Giant. Whatever Andre wants to do, Andre can do. So I didn't think anybody in WWE could pull him from anything. He'd be like, I do what I want, fuck you, and you don't pull me from anything. I just never thought that was really an option, but apparently, you know, it was, and they were like, you know, you got to come back here, you got to sign a new contract, and you're not going anywhere, kind of thing. So I'm excited to kind of see how that plays out on Chapter 4, and from what I've seen from many is that a lot are saying that this one was the best one yet, which leaves us with one more. Is that next week, or we got to wait for that one? But anyway, I'll have more to say, and I'll elaborate on this much more tomorrow night during the Raw review, because I'll have more knowledge of it. Yeah, Dre, the cat definitely sold it. He's kind of looking at me right now, though. He was just kind of wandering into no man's land there over by the stove. And last time I had a pot of like vegetable oil. I was like deep frying stuff. He puts his face in there and starts drinking the oil, which I'm no doctor, but I wouldn't recommend. So he's a little shithead. Who wants to drink oil? Anyway, Adrian, I got another one coming in from you. Thank you, man. Appreciate 5 more. I had low expectations of the main event. Hard to compare with the over matches, as it was edited heavily. Still a great match, though. Yeah, I like these. I mean, we're in different times, and I'm glad at least WWE's trying stuff like this. They've been doing more right than wrong. They haven't hit it out of the park in every single one of these, but they've done a really good job, I think, with coming through. So has AEW. I mean, the Stadium Stampede was freaking hilarious. It was great. And WWE's done equally well and better, probably, with all their cinematic type stuff. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing another match like this, another big epic match. Like, I would have loved them to do something like they did here for the Drew McIntyre Brock match at WrestleMania. If they would have had this foresight, if they would have been able to come up with this idea for that, not call it the greatest wrestling match ever or anything, you don't even have to do the MSG shit and the referee outfit, none of that stuff. Just film it the way you did this. Have, the Performance Center people in the crowd there, add a little bit of piped in crowd noise, shoot it ahead of time, edit it to put it together in a dramatic way, and I think it could have made Drew's moment so much better had they been able to do it this way. Now, that's a lot to take on. I mean, to have to worry about taking so much time, probably a lot of man hours just to edit one match, and to do that multiple times and have a whole show full of that stuff, that's probably a project too tough for any production crew to take on. But doing it for some big matches, some epic stuff, might help. And if for any reason we can't have an audience for SummerSlam, maybe the big matches at SummerSlam can be filmed ahead of time and they can be done like this. I think it would help. I think it would help the excitement. So I'm open to more of these, depending on what the future holds for wrestling fans at buildings. We'll see. Not really sure. Victor Colon, thanks for popping in with 2 more. Do you feel that Raw should go back to 2 hours? Yes, but it never will. Raw is 3 hours to stay. It would be easier for us if it was, but it's just not going to happen. So, unfortunately, it makes Raw unbearable, to watch. That's why if they decide to replay this shit tomorrow, I would not be opposed to it. I'm like, yeah, fine, do it. It was good. Oh, thank you for that, Pan. The Taker Chapter 5 is in 2 weeks. We got to wait 2 weeks to get the conclusion of that. Don't know if we're going to get some sort of retirement announcement. Still don't really know. Yeah, Mike, we talked about that. Sucks about Edge's injury. I'm just kind of confused about it. It sounds like it happened during the match, but the way he got punted, it's almost like that was a way to write him off of TV for a while. So did they know about the injury before the match or after the match? And I still think we're waiting for confirmation unless he's said something in the last couple hours here from Edge himself to say, yes, I am indeed injured. I don't know, but I hope he's at least basking in the glory of the success of this match, because after the WrestleMania match, people were giving him shit and he didn't really like it. And, you know, he had a few things to say about it, so I hope he's at least enjoying this one. What did he put up today? Was that about his injury? He's got a statement up right now on Backlash that was yesterday. This is just about the match from what I can tell. Okay, so I don't think that revealed anything on his injury, but he did have a few things to say about the match itself, and I thought it came through. I'm glad that he doesn't have to deal with the shitstorm that he did on the last one, because I thought fans were a little bit unreasonable. I think Cash Wheeler might have put this match over a little bit. He said, if this puts your kid to sleep, your kid is dumb. That's pretty funny. Good stuff, man. Good match. Yeah, I kind of hope they keep Edge out, Naveed as well, until the crowds come back. I'd be perfectly fine with that. That's been one of the more heartbreaking things about his return, is that, you know, it's all done in front of no one. Yeah, Victor, it's all over the place. I've got Fightful Select. I got an email about that earlier today about the injury, but still wasn't totally sure. No, Mystery, I cannot believe that. It's been 3 years since... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's been 8 years since Raw's been 3 hours. Jesus. For reals? I guess that's right. 2012 sounds about right. Damn. It's become the norm. Back in the day, it was 1 hour with commercials. We got 40 minutes of wrestling. Just enough time for like 3 matches and an interview. It's all Raw used to be. So condensed. There would be tons of people you'd never see on the show. Some guys would go 3, 4, 5 weeks without even being on Raw. That's a really good question, Robert Kane. You just got done watching the greatest wrestling match ever, but why wasn't it too big for more than for one day? Greatest wrestling match ever, too big for one day or one night. And then it's a 2-part greatest wrestling match ever of all time. Of all of the times, as Santino Marella says. Oh, really? Raw 1000 was the first one? Oh, yeah, I guess that's right. I did a review on Raw 1000. It's up on my channel if you want to watch it. Yeah, I agree. When you pair 3-hour Raws with football season, it makes it rough. Yeah, it's a bummer about, man, if it is a tricep. That sucks, man. That sucks. But I don't want Edge to be back and have, you know, worries of being injury prone either. I want to see WWE, you know, book the shit out of him and, you know, even give him a nostalgia title run. Like, that's something I want to see in the future for sure. So I'm hoping we still get that. Trying to think if there's any other news I need to get into, because the Backlash stuff is done. I'm probably going to get out of here. This is going to be a relatively short review, shorter than I'm normally up here for, since it's only been an hour. But we'll see if there's anything else we need to discuss. And then we'll have more to discuss tomorrow night, as we'll maybe have the table set for some new opponents, for some champions, and what Extreme Rules might look like, or at least what direction they're going to go in. And, of course, I'll have a ton of stuff to say about Chapter 4 of The Last Ride tomorrow night as well. Just scrolling through news and notes here. Seeing if there's anything. Oh, there's one. That is one that I did miss. I meant to talk about that. We want to wish the best to Chris Statlander of AEW Wrestling. She has suffered a knee injury. I believe it's an ACL, and that's going to put her out for a long time, which sucks. She reported that on Twitter today. I think a lot of people wished her well. and it is in fact an ACL tear, and that's generally a 6 to 9 month ordeal, sometimes even longer depending on the situation, and that's just sucks. So another blow to the AEW women's division. I felt like Chris Statlander, you know, she still has some work to do, but every time I see her, I feel like she's somebody that'll just like get better the longer she goes. So that's kind of put on hold now. She's not going to be able to get any practice because she's going to be rehabbing an injury, and we have Britt Baker on the shelf as well, although not as long as Statlander will be out. So that's a blow. That sucks, and we wish her the best. Hopefully she'll get back sooner rather than later. ACL tears are just the worst, man, because they can just happen snap of a finger without even knowing. I've seen somebody tear their ACL right in front of me just by like stepping and standing funny. And it was a girl that I worked with, and you just hear the snap. She went down like a ton of bricks. And all she did, she stepped on something that was on the floor, and it was just enough to do something and buckle her. She went down, couldn't even stand up, and had to be stretchered out. It was a mess, and surgery. And, you know, I can, at least with athletes, they're a little more capable of, you know, rehabbing and stuff. But that's just, you know, it's guaranteed surgery, and it's guaranteed, you know, nearly a year until you're normal again. And that's just devastating for athletes. So hopefully she'll be back better than ever. She might be rocking the Austin knee braces when she returns. Read a little bit more too about the departure of Paul Heyman and some of the reaction. Now apparently AJ Styles, this story was also reported. AJ Styles was one of the guys that apparently had issues with Paul Heyman. They did not get along, I don't think, creatively, and that was the big reason that he was moved over to the SmackDown brand. I think SmackDown is better for AJ anyway. We just kind of all assumed WWE moved him over there just to move him over there because they can't figure out what they want to do. But that was apparently a big issue there. He wasn't really getting along from a creative standpoint with Heyman, so they moved him to SmackDown. But he's really the only guy that I've read about that had issues with him. Most everybody liked Heyman. You know, he could be a little blunt, probably a little high-strung. The job probably can get to you from a mental standpoint, I'm sure, just due to the stress and stuff. So I'm sure he wasn't an absolute angel to work with 24/7 or anything, but for the most part, he sounded receptive to people's ideas. He always made time for people. He was approachable. Everybody liked him for the most part. So WWE letting him go out of this position, I just have no idea. They didn't even make it a year. They didn't even give Bischoff and Heyman a year to even try. They just make these crazy-ass decisions, but apparently Heyman's going to still be there as Brock's advocate whenever Brock comes back. And apparently the word is that he's in good spirits, and he also is on good terms with WWE. I really hope that's true. I really hope Heyman isn't bitter, because honestly, I think he's better off. I just think that, you know, given the demands of a job like that, working in a company that's not doing the greatest right now, it's got a lot of pressures, a lot of stress, a lot of people to answer to, a lot of money at stake. That's not the type of stress I would want after I've already had my long wrestling career. When you're up and coming and you want to be a writer and you want to be involved in entertainment or wrestling, and you're young and you're vigorous and you're ambitious, you can take on the world. But when you've already had a Hall of Fame career and you've already just, you know, worked your ass off to the point where you should be sitting down, enjoying all of the money you've made, enjoying your hard work, and living a relaxed, chilled out life, you're not going to be able to do that in a position like this. So I always questioned why these two guys wanted these roles to begin with. So the fact that they're out, honestly, I think they're better off, but it's still frustrating as to why WWE and Vince feels like these drastic decisions need to be made to where they're constantly changing their shit up. Nothing's ever given any time to grow, or nobody's ever given a real true chance, because shit just changes all the time. It sounds like a very chaotic, hectic place to work. I mean, it's probably bad enough for wrestlers. Imagine if you're not a wrestler, you're a production staff, or you're a creator, or anybody in production. It's got to be a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Stuff changing on you every day. My God, what a mess. Oh, yeah, there was an interview as well that Chris DeJoseph did, the lead writer that was let go. He was the Big Dick Johnson guy from back in the day, and he recently came back a few years back after being gone. And he says on Twitter, he says, after 10 years away, really wasn't into giving my life to the unpredictable whims of one person. but I believe in Bruce Pritchard and his vision. So he's given Bruce Pritchard props there. And I still think, even though, I mean, it's very common now. If you talk about Bruce Pritchard, you have to say yes, man. You have to do all that shit because it's all over the internet. But I would still assume, there's that word again, I would still think that Bruce Pritchard would be easier to deal with than Vince, right? Because Vince apparently is a maniac. So Chris kind of backed this up, and apparently Vince is the real problem here. He's just an absolute fucking psycho. And maybe Bruce isn't so bad after all. But still, letting Heyman go and putting Bruce in charge of both, I don't think is a good decision. I just don't. Separate minds need to be in charge of these shows. Unless the brand extension is just going to end entirely, and that's a whole nother possibility that with them now kind of putting one guy in charge, they're just going to kibosh the whole thing again. How many times have they failed at this? Just throw this one on the pile, and it's to the 15th time that they've tried and failed for the brand extension or the brand split. So that could be a possibility as well. Hey, Dan Price, what's up, man? Dan's working on some stuff for me. Talked to him a little bit today, actually. So he's working on some new logos, like I said. Let's see if I can put one on the screen here. Will this work? Yeah, look at this one. This is what he made for me, the latest one, kind of a Bret Hart style logo there. This is one of a few that we're coming up with. The wrestler parodies are a little easier and quicker to do, so this one is kind of done now. And he'll be doing some other ones for me as well. And we're working on some ideas. So what do you think of this one? Had to tribute my favorite wrestler, right? So anyway, new logos, couple of new t-shirts are in the works. They'll be up this summer on the GoodMicWork television network. I always used to laugh when Todd Pettengill on WWE, he would do the pay-per-view reports and shit and run through the cards of whatever pay-per-view they were near. And he would always say, stay tuned to the WWF television network for more details. I'm like, you guys don't have a television network. What the hell are you talking about? They used to always say that. Crack me up. Anyway, just thought I'd share that story. But good to see you hanging out in here, Dan. Where's the super chats go? I just lost them. There they are. There's Marcus again. Thank you for the $2, dude. I appreciate it. Cornette and Russo, the best creative team in my life. In your life? They creating shit for you? Man, could you imagine? What if that would be a reality show that would draw that's an idea for Vice. They need to get a reality show, and they just have to pay Cornette and Russo and ask. They have to give them, offer them, make them an offer they can't refuse type of thing. An absurd amount of money, and say, for 1 month, you guys have to live in a house together and write storylines for wrestling, and you have to do it for a solid month, and just put it on camera. And load the house that they're staying in with alcohol, guns, and PCP. And then you make them write an entire month of wrestling TV using any stars currently available, not under contract to any major company. And then they have to submit it in the final season. What can we call that show? Something like that. We can build off that. That's my initial idea. We can tweak some things. If you want to do acid instead of PCP, we could do that. It's your call. I'll let you guys make the choice. Adrian, thanks again, man. Appreciate it. 4:15 in Ireland. Damn, up in 4 hours later, Greg. All right, dude, get some sleep. Appreciate you very much. And I wish you could get more than 4 hours. But yeah, sleep hard, my man. And thank you always for joining in. Yeah, how easy. I think you figured you'd like that one. We got some other ones coming too. It's going to be fun. Diet Sprite and cheeseburgers. That would be all right. That would be funny. That would just be fun shit, man. We need something like that. Just watch these two guys at each other's throats. No, but there's got to be a rule. Like, I still want guns and weapons in the house, but there's a rule. There's a stip. If anybody dies, you lose your money. So nobody can die otherwise. Oh, and you go to jail too because, killing's illegal. At least I think. Or it's frowned upon. No, it's illegal. Yeah, it's illegal. Killing's illegal. Don't do that. Who's this? Ram Viniro. Thank you very much. Very generous. $20. I appreciate it. Hey, good mic work. Hope you're enjoying your night. I'm currently catching up, with Randy versus Orton. Maybe Edge versus Orton. Wondering your thoughts later. Cheers. Yes, please scroll back. It's kind of twice here. We just wrapped up the results about 5 minutes ago where I talked about the main event, and I gave it a little bit of love in the beginning of the podcast as well. So my comments on Edge versus Orton is all over the place. It was a wonderful match. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm hoping you are too. Thank you very much for popping in tonight and with the very generous super. Put all the guns on poles. Yeah, but you can only shoot each other in the leg and stuff. Like, there's no killing involved. You just watch these guys maim each other. Hysterical. Bring back bra and panties matches. I can't see WWE ever doing that. We could put Cornette and Russo in one. I wouldn't recommend that either, especially right after a meal or something. But I don't think you'll see that on WWE. Yeah, I've seen the Evolve stuff too. Looks like WWE. I thought Evolve was maybe closing its doors, but they felt like WWE was kind of positioning itself to kind of pick the company up anyway. They ran the show on WWE Network and stuff, so signs of, we've had evidence of that for a while. We'll see whenever that becomes a reality. A show of just Britt Baker doing regular dentist things, she'd be pretty good. That's all right. I knew what you meant. I botch shit all the time. Sometimes I laugh, when I do my little ticker down here in the bottom. When I type that stuff in, the box is really small, so sometimes I'm always like making little typos in my own stuff. So I generally know what people mean. And Twitter desperately needs an edit button. That's faux show. Well, let's see if I can get this. Let's see if we can cruise these likes up to close to 100 before I sign off here, and then I'll probably bounce, because I want to watch Chapter 4 of The Last Ride. I'm really excited to watch that. And chill out and make some dinner, and then we'll discuss that thoroughly tomorrow night for Raw. What's planned tomorrow night? Do we even know yet? Probably not. We don't have anything planned for Raw yet, right, since the pay-per-view just ended. I'm really hoping, like I said, we get some sort of an Asuka and Nia Jax rematch or something. And maybe a new challenger for Drew. However, I'm inclined to believe that we get a blow-off at Extreme Rules between McIntyre and Lashley before McIntyre moves into SummerSlam to face somebody completely new. And then we got to remember we've got Otis running around with the briefcase as well. He teased a cash-in tonight on Backlash, although you don't do an Otis cash-in with no fans. That's my opinion. Although part of me thinks that Otis is not going to successfully cash it in. I think Mandy's going to turn on him at some point or something like that. And I think she might be the cause of him failing to cash in. Maybe she doesn't turn. Maybe she inadvertently costs him the match, but she's Mandy and he loves her and he forgives her, but it causes a problem and it eventually leads to their demise. But, part of me thinks with, all the sympathy that Otis gets and everything that happened prior, he's like Kane. He's like Kane when he finds a love interest. The love interest always turns on him. So I think that might be more likely for them. We'll see. As my cats have a fight. Oh, did you say really? For real? Asuka versus Nia? Told you they were going to do that. Trying to look for evidence of that. Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping that match happens because the double DQ was just silly. And to stretch them out to Extreme Rules and do another match would be even dumber. So you got to wrap up business, I think, on Raw. And that makes me very concerned with what the plan for Charlotte and Shayna is. I don't really know what they're going to do. Ha. Mandy should marry Randy, then she would be Mandy Orton. Don't give WWE any ideas. They'd probably be like, oh, that's a great idea. Vince would probably think that's so funny. Ha! That's good shit. Mandy Orton. I love it. Get it? Because it's like Randy, but it's Mandy. Yeah, we get it, Vince. We know. Ha! Deshaun Robertson, I like that. Thank you for the $2. Cornette and Russo, dark side in your house. That would be some dark shit, man. You couldn't even put that on Vice, could you? They've definitely exceeded their F-bomb limit. Cornette is a NC-17 movie every 5 minutes. Hey, yeah, remember when I said Mandis and Odie last night too, right? Mandis and Odie. Sasha versus Bayley at SummerSlam, to me, was a shoo-in prior to pandemic. And it's a shame that it can't be there because it was scheduled to be in Boston and it's likely not going to be. And that's Sasha's hometown, so that would have been a good spot for that. Oh, yeah. Ray and Dominic confront Seth Rollins tomorrow, so we're getting the continuation of that shit. So that's the one thing we know for sure that we're getting tomorrow night on Raw. We'll see if that's any good or not. I still want Dominic to turn and join a cult. What's wrong with me? Why am I such a sick bastard? I like Ray. Why the hell am I wishing these things on Ray? But I wanted Dominic to turn on him and join Samoa Joe, and now I want Dominic to be lured over to the dark side by Seth Rollins. I think that would be fabulous. Oh, I would love that. I would love that. Mr. Capital Letter Dope Show wants a shout out because without one, you die. I don't understand why it's so important. But anyway, there you go. Holding off the Sasha Bayley feud until WrestleMania 37, a full year plus longer than I thought they were going to hold off on. Man, I thought they were going to do it. That would be our stretch, but I can see it. I think if you're going to build it this long, you should have it at the best setting and best environment possible whenever that match finally happens. So postponing it, I'm fine with it. But man, they got to do a whole lot of this nonsense on TV for many, many months for us to get to that, especially when we know what's going to happen. I heard that, Roaring Metal Man. Chapter 4 is off the hook. I'm going to be watching that as soon as I'm done here. Jordan Smith, are you serious? They're filming, like actually filming season 4 already? I didn't even know there was a season 4 announced. We haven't even gotten season 3 yet. That's comforting to know. I really want there to be 100 seasons of that. I'll have to look that up on I'm subscribed to a couple of Cobra Kai like theory channels and shit because I'm a huge dork. So I'll look into that. That's great. I hope so. Kobe Bryant, I currently don't really have favorites. I mean, of all time, it's going to be Brett and Trish. But currently, I don't really have favorites currently. Women, Asuka. If I have to pick a current woman, it's Asuka 100%. I have no... There's no internal struggles with that one. I know exactly who I want. I love her. The men, I like a lot. I like Bray. I like Drew. I like AJ. I like Seth. I like Owens. I really like Aleister Black. There's a lot of guys I like. So I don't think I could pick a favorite male wrestler because I just don't care. But Asuka is so unbelievably fantastic that she wins for me, hands down. Yeah, James, Cobra Kai is that YouTube karate show. It's based off the Karate Kid movies and stays extremely true to the stories and has a lot of the same characters and is just fucking wonderfully put together. And I think people who even didn't like, the Karate Kid movies are just really important to me, but I think even people who didn't watch those movies or gave a shit about them or even watched them now could probably watch Cobra Kai and be just fine. There's still entertainment there that you could follow. I think it would help if you went back and watched the movies, but you don't necessarily have to. Maybe. There'll just be a couple things that would confuse you, and you certainly wouldn't get all the references, all the throwbacks to the movies. Like subtle ones, too. Even in the first season when he has to give Johnny a car and they go to the car dealership and he's like, choose. Just like, Miyagi when he gave him the car. He's like, choose in the first movie. So there's all sorts of little tiny subtle ones like that would go unnoticed, but this show would still be enjoyable. For sure. Anyway, my cats are starting to shit themselves, so I better go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. Like I said, I thought Backlash was far exceeded my expectations, and Edge and Randy Orton just absolutely crushed it. And I never thought they would be able to live up to that moniker without embarrassing themselves, and they definitely did not do that. It was good stuff. So you guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Don't forget to join me tomorrow night immediately following Raw. We'll do a full review of the show. We'll probably elaborate a little bit more here on Backlash and discuss any fallout from that. Maybe any more news about the Edge injury that we might learn tomorrow. I'm also going to have a lot to say about Chapter 4 of The Last Ride that I'm going to watch right now when I get off of here. And tomorrow will be a fun stream. And I'm going to make sure I have some freaking alcohol in the house so I can have a couple of beers with you guys. So I look forward to that. Look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow night. Until then, take care. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like this video, and tell your friends. Y'all be good.